It sounds like he's on cocaine or something because he's very
Yeah, yeah,
narcissistic
yeah,
and
no, yeah,
belligerent. I think he's on
yeah,
drugs. He's delusional. I'm not being funny. I think he's on
yeah,
drugs. He's delusional. Yeah. He changed rules arbitrarily. Max Mosley, all these guys from the back. These guys are racist. Anywhere, any bad word you want to make, they are it. I'm serious. These are old feudal lords. These guys are bloody rich, and they see the drivers as their little toy soldiers. And that's what they're taking so much money that they're cutting corners for the safety of the drivers, everything. This is a scam.
Especially crackdown on swearing. That is one area where the drivers are really
swearing. We're going to crack down on swearing.
And yeah,
it sounds like he's on cocaine or something because he's very narcissistic and belligerent. I think he's on drugs. He's delusional. I'm not being funny. I think he's on drugs. He's delusional. Yeah.
I mean, he's even threatening to cancel, to sort of like shut down radio connections during race days.
I know he comes from a country in which they claim to, these Arabic countries claim to be holier than thou than the rest of us. They don't do drugs, they don't drink and stuff. Does he really care about people cursing? He said it could defame the name of F1. Who is F1? Is it him or is it the drivers? You get my point. Sounds like a narcissist. These guys curse, these guys drink, they do things. He can't hold it up to his moral code. It'll be just like it'll be just like if the guy was Catholic and he says, "Hey, our team leaders can't get divorced and stuff." This guy needs to get with it, and he's not the product. Because if the drivers went away and created their own organization and got a TV deal, they could cut him and everybody out. Go ahead. Yeah. Because the drivers are the product. Yeah. They need to break off from this guy and start their own organization. They can do it. They're running a scam here when they're trying to make money and sensationalizing the sport, doing things like changing rules halfway through the year so that they can frustrate Verstappen and make him have to work for a championship. You see what I'm saying? I can see them doing that again. Make him work for a championship rather than keeping the rules proper and letting things, because it seems like these guys are being frustrated a lot. Red Bull with these sudden rule changes. When Red Bull had a wing, it was a big problem. Then other teams went down that road and they let them have it. Then they don't ban it until 6 or 7 races. It's just ridiculous.
The FIA is sort of like, it's like FIFA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would even say they're 10 times more. Yeah, corrupt. FIFA is corrupt, but it seems like the FIA is out of control. They even have stewards who work for gambling sites and can go to and talk on gambling sites and say, "I hate Verstappen." And 2 weeks before, you gave Verstappen a 20-second penalty. Oh my God, that would even be scandalous within FIFA.
Senior management, Stefano Domenicali is the president and CEO of Formula One.
Oh yeah.
Who's been there since?
He's been quiet.
Yeah, since January 2021.
He's been so quiet. The guy was so, because the fact that I've even forgotten his name, the guy has been so quiet. But you know what it is? The money and all of this money at the top, because I'm going to keep it real. A lot of money for all sports now is coming from the Middle East, and they're dictating a lot of stuff, and everybody just has to be quiet. Same thing in soccer. They own teams. Like you see how they're taking over Emirates and all these guys taking over the soccer, and they're beginning to flex. Now they even tried to buy away the golf tournament. So Domenicali is being kind of quiet. He doesn't have much to say, but I don't know why F1 doesn't just break off. They can break off and do a deal on their own. They can break off and do a deal on their own.
He was, I think, president of the FIA before.
Domenicali before, okay, yeah. But I mean, all of these guys, even those guys, they're all corrupt. Yeah, and let's go to another thing. Are they taking Spa out next year or 2026? They're taking it off the schedule. The Dutch Grand Prix, Spa, the Belgian. I think there's a rumor.
Yeah. I can't remember if it's going to be 25 or 26.
It might be 26. Yeah, and you see what they're doing? Something about Belgian. That's a Belgian race, and we know that this guy's dad or one of his family members is Belgian or something. Vettel. I think his mom is Belgian and his dad is Dutch. I'm not saying conspiracy here, but why would you take Spa, which is a historically great race, and take it out? And they're giving more and more races to America: Miami, Texas, Vegas, and what's the other one? New Mexico. So many races in America. No problem. But we all know this is a money move because they want to bring in American fans. And you're cutting in out the sacred races. The Belgian Grand Prix is sacred. They even talk about rumors of taking out Monaco. These guys are losing their minds, man.
Yeah, taking out Monaco would be insane.
I don't think they'll do it.
The other,
but they're talking about changing the track. Changing the specs of the track.
Yeah. The other one that I heard was that they were thinking about the Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah, and
and it's
that's Verstappen, and his mother is Belgian, and his dad is Dutch. Let me tell you the truth. I hate to say it, they should just take out Baku. Come on. I'm not Baku's a great track, but what I'm trying to say is it's not as traditional as some of these other ones, which I don't want Baku to go
yeah,
either, to be honest with you. And then they have two races in the Middle East, Abu Dhabi and the other one, Qatar or
Qatar,
whatever. So,
Qatar, yeah.
yeah, I'm not saying that they should take those away, but it messes up the floor. And we know that, I hate to say it because I'm not European, but we know that F1 traditionally, the history of it is European. It's a European sport. And these are old relics of Europe, these tracks. So we're not saying that you should not bring other countries, but cutting these type, and then it's funny that he's choosing the Dutch Grand Prix and Belgian. If he does that, let me tell you, that's going to be a very controversial move to take those, because the Dutch and the Belgian are super F1 fans. What do you think, Afolabi?
Yeah, I agree with you. And the problem I have with these people is that George Russell has voiced his concern. George Russell happens to be the head of the Grand Prix
Oh
driver
yeah, here we go.
association.
Here we go with that guy. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
he has voiced his concern that drivers are supposed to be stakeholders. And now you fire someone like the race director, Niels Wittich, and you don't give an explanation. Russell noted that the organization seems to be moving in circles and they don't have any clear direction and they don't know who's being fired next. And it's not good because when the races start and you begin to make calls and decisions and rulings, that lack of clarity and transparency makes the sport very, very lack integrity, so to speak. And the stakeholders who are the drivers don't have faith in the decisions being made. So I think the FIA needs to bring the drivers closer and make them stakeholders and give them reasons why these people are being fired, especially Niels Wittich,
Hey,
who is
Kool-Aid,
a
you
race
sound like Napoleon from Animal Farm before they overtook
who
the
is a
humans.
race director.
Before they overtook the
Niels
humans.
Wittich is a race director. That's a very important role. At least they
Yeah.
should have given them an idea. They heard from the media that the guy had been fired.
No,
FIA
they don't
did
want to
not
do
say
that.
anything.
They don't want to do that. We know that F1 is the height of crony capitalism. Back in the day, they changed rules
Yeah,
so to help Senna beat Prost. They changed rules night before a final race, and they changed rules arbitrarily. Max Mosley, all these guys from the back, these guys are racist. Uh, any bad word you want to make, they are it. I'm serious. These are old feudal lords. These guys are bloody rich, and they see the drivers as their little toy soldiers.
And
That's what they see them as.
this internal instability comes at a time when Formula One is undergoing significant technical changes. Look at the 2026 changes that are coming up. Teams are
Yeah.
already grappling with the
mhm.
challenge of balancing development. So,
Yeah, and I hear that Honda is saying that it's going to be difficult for them to develop an engine for this crap. It's going to hurt Aston Martin, and once again, it's going to hurt Aston Martin and Red Bull. You see what I'm saying? No, not yet. Red Bull. No, Red Bull will be. Yeah, they're being supplied by Honda. It seems like they're putting as much chaos as they can, and it will no longer be about who's the best driver.
that
Like next year,
I think they're
it can
deliberately
very well be the
introducing
case
chaos. They're
that
deliberately introducing chaos.
next year Lando Norris can win, and he may not even be top 2 or 3 drivers in the world, because it seems like everything is falling into the lap of McLaren. And you got to remember, McLaren has an American CEO. As far as he's not the CEO, but he might as well be, Zach Brown.
Zach Brown,
This shit
yeah.
is getting serious, man. Haas is on the rise too with Toyota Gazoo, which is doing well. So it seems like there's a shift. Then they're bringing in Cadillac. So it seems like this is the next American invasion.
The inconsistencies make it sort of difficult. I mean, even in the last episode, you guys were talking about this difficulty that now Red Bull has to face with regards to the changing regulations with the front wing and all those things. We are sort of like, running this like we're observing this highly technical sport where every little thing has to be thought of beforehand, including things like cost caps, which the FIA actually implements. Now, now teams have to manage this idea of staying within the cost cap, and also then these changing regulations.
Yeah, but sorry, very
actually,
quickly. Sorry to cut in front of you. Cost caps, but these guys at the top are taking trips $4 million. I'm exaggerating. Ben Suleiman, whatever his name is, they're taking trips all over the world, and they don't justify they don't let accountants see how they're spending money. You get my point. Continue. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, cost caps for teams become very detrimental
But no
things.
cost cap for his
I think,
airplane, which is $3 million a year, or something stupid like that.
sure.
Continue. Yeah.
So we're going to see how difficult that's going to make it for the teams to sort of make it work. Of course, I mean, in terms of like making the races tighter and closer and all those things, it makes it interesting. And of course, the FIA is always pleading poverty when it comes to this idea of them sort of getting stewards.
They can't even pay
That will
stewards
be
a nominal fee.
that will be employed permanently in order to keep consistency in terms of race control and all those things. I mean, what we saw in that last race was deplorable, like we said, with that crash and the piece of debris being on the track for so long before they could call out a safety car that actually disadvantaged
This is
people.
corruption. Let's keep it real. Dominicali and Ben Suleimani. Is that his name? Suleimani. I got it right this time.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
They're
I got
corrupt.
it. Suleimani. Yeah, these guys are taking Sulaim. Yeah, what is it?
Suleimani.
Sulaim. Okay. These guys are taking every penny. This is their scam. These guys are going to be rich. They're taking so much money that they're cutting corners for the safety of the drivers, everything. This is a scam.
I agree with you. And the FIA's credibility is also at stake. The organization's handling of recent controversies, especially crackdown on swearing. That is one area where the drivers are really upset.
Swearing. We're going to crack down on swearing.
And the drivers are upset with their position on this. Lack of communication with drivers has drawn criticism. And they wrote a letter, an open letter to the FIA president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, highlighting the growing rift between governing body and the drivers. And this further erodes their trust, basically. All these firings.
Yeah, here's the problem.
Transparent and stuff like that.
The problem is that if I know Russell is the type of person who can become a prime minister one day. He's actually a leader. He's very outspoken. He's the type of person that can he can cause a revolt and tell all the drivers that like what the females did in tennis, where they moved away from the tennis and created their own tennis association because they weren't getting representation. But the problem is that you'd have to find banking investors. But all these guys, Sulayem or whatever, he and everybody else that's at the top are connected to whoever the banks are, and they want to continue exploiting these drivers. But these drivers need to put their foot down. And I promise you, they keep on with this level. Verstappen will be the first person ever to walk away from the sport. Because Verstappen doesn't do Verstappen's an only child. I've seen a picture of him. There's one time he almost wanted to beat up his mom because she got in the way of him when he was playing his game. Have you seen the picture? He's like, get out of my way, because Verstappen's emotional. He started scratching his mom.
Yeah,
that guy is very stubborn.
Very
stubborn.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's very stubborn and self-possessed. He will. He's not a narcissist, but he's very self-possessed. He will say, "I don't need this fucking shit." And I tell you what, sim racing will start to rise. Verstappen is already talking about doing Le Mans with his dad and with another guy, Alonso. They want to do Alonso. They want to do it. They're going to move away from the sport, and the young people will just be on sim. I saw a video in which Verstappen chased somebody down in a sim race and crashed them off the track because he remembered that they did it to him a few years earlier. It goes to show you this guy is not normal. You understand what I'm saying? And Formula One needs to realize they have a good property. They're going to have to rebudget and find out what they need to do and take the drivers seriously. What do you think, Lorato?
Yeah, and the problematic thing, I think, in the other thing that I read was that in the last at Qatar they had an interview with Ben Sulayem about these complaints that the drivers had, and he said that actually it was none of their business how he runs things.
It sounds like I'm not trying to be funny. It sounds like he's on cocaine or something because he's very narcissistic and belligerent. I think he's on drugs.
he made some insane point, like the teams and drivers don't come and tell the FIA when they make changes.
Oh,
So
okay.
no, he's not gonna tell them when
Okay.
when he makes
All right.
changes. And that's insane, because he's part of a governing body. Whatever changes that he
No,
makes
he's delusional. I'm
affects,
not being funny. I think he's on
yeah,
drugs. He's delusional. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It sounds like he's
affects
delusional. Yeah.
the entire chain, the entire value chain of the sport, as opposed to changes that are made within teams. So it's really insane.
I'm telling you, man, all these other formulas, like what is the one where they use electric engines and stuff, and then rally, these things will start to get more and more followers, man. If the FIA continues like this, yeah. I mean, it's still within the FIA, but
Yeah,
Formula One specifically is being gutted right now. It seems like it's being gutted. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, I don't know where all these changes are going to sort of like leave the sport.